All right, so I'm going to get right into it, guys. And you please make sure you're muted so you're not making noise here. And also, if you want to chat with each other and share your LinkedIn, Instagram, and all those other profiles you got to network with one another, because you're all TEDx buddies now. You're all part of the TEDx family with Big Papa Bobby here at front. By all means, network with each other. Use the chat box to talk to each other. There's a lot of people here, and you're all basically people who want to get to the next level and get that TEDx talk. So, again, I'll make sure everyone's muted. Chris, make sure everyone's muted for me, okay? I know while I start this.
Yeah, you do your thing. I'm muting as they come on.
Okay, perfect. So, and the idea here again, if you're TEDx, if you're into TEDx talks, obviously you can influence, and if you can influence, you can change people's lives. So, how can you use the knowledge for today? Well, one of the things I believe is everyone has a story, and you all have stories, and you have a way to share your story so that people who are struggling will know that they're not alone. And that's why TEDx talks, and that's why speaking are things that I'm really, really passionate about. And again, knowledge does not equal results. You have to start. You have to start doing something about it. So ask yourself, what would I do if I weren't afraid? And then go do it. And hopefully I can be with you on that journey. So who is this training for? Well, I mean, a lot of people. I mean, you can be a driven business leader, an executive, an entrepreneur, or a passionate learner. You want to be someone who's good at storytelling or has strong ideas. You want to help people in organizations. You want to enhance your digital presence online or in person. You want to make breakthrough your career or your growth. You want to share expertise with the world. You may want to get more opportunities to speak and get paid speaking. These are hopefully all things that you might care about. And my promise to you today, guys, is I'm going to give you the insights, the strategies, and tactics to help you land your first TEDx talk, to share your story and message with the world. That's my promise to you. Now, why am I doing this? Well, the why is my why statement is this: there are lost, stuck, or unfulfilled leaders everywhere. What does that mean? Everywhere I go, I meet people who feel lost in their career, stuck in their jobs, or unfulfilled in their path. And so for me, helping them get unstuck, find direction, find clarity, that's kind of what I do. Whether it's personal branding, thought leadership, TEDx talks, or just your career. And a bit about myself, I've been a professional speaker by trade, 1,000 keynotes across 4 continents over the last 20 years. I've been named a top 20 social selling influencer. I've authored 3 books. I'm an Inc. Magazine top 100 leadership speaker. I'm also the founder of DYP, Discover Your Personal Brand, and the Thought Leadership Brand Club movements. And of course, I'm a digital influencer with Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram as my primary places of influence, although I'm also building stuff pretty much everywhere. And my career path has been quite diverse: engineering, brand marketing, performing arts, but now I'm really focused on entrepreneurship. The agenda for today: well, I'm going to talk about my story and why TEDx is so important. I'm going to understand your story a little bit and where to get started. We'll talk a bit about the culture of TEDx, and then how to make them want you. And I'll throw in a little bit of bonus tip there as well. And then, of course, Q&A and next steps in terms of what I'm doing moving forward and how I'm going to help people get to that next level. So I'm letting you know, I will give you an opportunity to do some next steps. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm doing this 5-day challenge in January. Is it okay for me to say it this now? I'm telling you because I'm super excited. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. So a bit about my story. Longest time I was in engineering and I was in brand marketing, and I lost my job both times. It didn't really fit in. I felt lost and stuck. I felt a failure, and I felt like I had no direction after that. I was like, what am I going to do with my life? I had 2 different careers, and both times they plummeted, and I didn't really feel good at anything. Despite success, I guess corporate made me feel like I was a loser, which is kind of interesting. I felt like people loved me as a person, but my boss had never seemed to like me. So I had careers in engineering, brand marketing. I also did teaching, and I was one of those jack of all trades, master of none type guy. So I consider myself a lost leader. And so what did I do? Well, I invested in my personal brand, and I dove deep. I asked questions. I did surveys. I did a lot of analyses, and through that, I found focus, clarity, and purpose in what I wanted to do, particularly as a speaker and as an expert in a couple of areas of interest. And through that, I found my value. And through that, I found my why, which led to the direction and path that I've been currently on. There's certainly been waves and hills, but I've been on the same path for almost 20 years. And I also know now who I serve. And my speaker journey started back in the day, and pretty soon I started going all around the world, which was a lot of fun. Speaking to big audiences around the world, and over 1,000 talks and 500,000 audience members over those years. And I'm also a big believer in thought leadership. I built a thought leadership brand, and the model that I use is, the foundation is mindset confidence, which leads to better content strategy, digital presence, which leads to better storytelling, speaking, communication skills. And all this leads to better building meaningful relationships, which leads to a clear personal brand. But personal brand also feeds back into your mindset confidence, which also feeds back into your content, feeds back into your storytelling, feeds back into your meaningful relationships. And obviously, TEDx is part of this entire journey. A TEDx is a way for you to level up your thought leadership brand. And so, if you want to build a thought leadership brand around who you are, become the expert authority in your field, you have the right strategies, you have the right community, you have the right knowledge, and you have the right coaching. This is how you level up. This is the model I use for all the things I do. So some people I work with, they want help with personal branding. Some people I work with, they want help with storytelling. Other people want help with mindset. Other people want help with TEDx. But for me, TEDx is a big part of what I'm trying to do here. And so for me, I'm all about the power connection, which was my first TEDx talk. And I remember that day very well. At the time, I didn't know how big a deal TEDx was. But when someone invited me to the first one, I was like, you know what? This is kind of a big deal. I need to make sure I do a really, really good job of it. So let's talk about why TEDx is so important. Well, number one, it's a thought leadership branding opportunity. As soon as you land a TEDx talk, you're known as a TEDx speaker. That's part of your brand. That's part of your thought leadership. It's strong marketing material. So I can tell you that when I had that video from the first TEDx talk, it allowed me to completely transform my speaking career. That's when everything changed. Because I started my business in 2008, the TEDx talks in 2011, and then after that, everything just kind of took off. A really big thing is the chance to make the TED.com page, because a lot of people aren't actually on the TED.com page. But if you can get your TEDx talk, like my friend Drew Dudley here, he's a fellow speaker friend of mine. He's based in Toronto too. And he basically did the TEDx talk, this is the 6-minute talk called Lollipop Leadership. But when it went on the TED.com page, completely his business flourished and took off. So getting on the TED.com page is a really good opportunity. You get to meet other amazing speakers and delegates, because basically it's imagine a room full of people who want to be there. That's pretty awesome, right? It's an awesome thing to be part of. And then it also teaches about how to focus your idea, how to target the right audience, and how to be a better storyteller. Because people who are TEDx talks, they train you, they teach you to think about these things and make them really, really concise and on brand. So having the TEDx talk positions you as an authority and expert in your field. In other words, it's a way to build your brand. So that's a huge benefit that a lot of people will get. And that's from one TEDx talk. That also happens if you're a 5-time TEDx speaker like I am. Because there's people who have 1, there's people who have 5. 1 is great, 5 is even better. You inspire a global audience to change their worldview or take action. It gives you high credibility, high visibility. And of course, TEDx talks are irresistible. And again, if everyone's on stage here, please make sure you're muted. There's a lot of people in the room, so I want to make sure you're all muted. So TEDx talks are irresistible. Like you hear a TEDx talk about, hey, did you watch the TEDx talk about the education system for kindergartners? Yeah, I want to go see this, and people take a look at it. A TEDx speaker allows you to connect with people, you grow a community of followers, and the spirit of TED is to unite around a really powerful idea. So all of this leads to what? More website traffic, more leads, more opportunities, more speaking gigs, and clients and book deals. These are all things that we want, right? And these are things that are going to benefit us. So that's why the TEDx talk is so powerful. And if you look at all the people that have spoken at TEDx, my goodness, like, Brené Brown and Bill Gates and Susan Cain and Ken Robinson, these are all people that, have done really amazing things. And so the brand association with this alumni network is attractive. The TEDx is all over. I mean, the global reach of TEDx is amazing. 3,000 events yearly. I mean, it's slowed down during the pandemic, but now it's coming back, right? And what's really amazing, it translated 116 languages. And look at this. There's 172,000 TEDx talks on the TEDx channel. It's probably now 200,000. But only 3,800 TEDx talks were featured on TED.com. So if you can be one of that small percentage that gets on the TED.com site, that's even more amazing for your brand. And the other reason I think TEDx Talks is really interesting is that, but the people told me back in the early days, Bobby, write a book. So I wrote a book on networking. You can also have a program, but if you want to position yourself as an expert in an area to get leads, speaking gigs, and meet opportunities, then yeah, have a book. Sure, yeah, have a program, yeah. But a TED Talk is the exact same thing and just as strong as those other things. So if they know that you're a TEDx speaker in a certain type of topic, that's actually going to help you land those things as well. My second TEDx talk was about the power of questions. And then and then my third TEDx talk was about leadership, global and local. I also hosted this one, which is a lot of exposure, but also a ton of work. I'm not sure I'd want to host a TEDx talk again. My fourth one was actually focused on students. So I did this one called How to Learning to Fly as a Leader at School. And this one was the one I thought was going to be the one. This is the one that's going to make it on the TED.com site. I was so excited about it. But then I made the mistake of putting Super Grover in my slides. And because of the intellectual property, that screwed things up for me. But finally, the fifth TEDx talk I did, could you change a person's life in 20 seconds? And I talked about 20-second hugs. This is the one that finally made the TED.com page for me, which was great. So, and this is the only one that I actually ever applied for and got. The other ones actually they all came to. And I'll talk a bit about that in a second. So I kind of want to get into talking to you guys a little bit, which is I want to hear from you, like, what are the biggest challenges of landing your first TEDx talk? So if you can type in the chat box, because it's too crazy to have all of you speak. So why don't you tell me, what are your biggest challenges landing your first TEDx talk? Type in the chat box, please. And again, make sure you're muted. Figuring out where to apply. Okay, sure. How do you even get started and receive an invite? How do you even start? Yeah, that's a very common thing. Don't know where to start. Okay, common themes here. Getting clear with the key ideas. Okay, what topic to pick for multi-passionate or multi-hyphenate people. How to get started. Sure, thanks, Bill. Yeah, there's lots of what makes a great story. Well, that's debatable, right? How not to make a sales pitch, and it's not allowed to be a sales pitch because they will kibosh that if you as soon as you do that. Your unique insights to offer, no clear on the topic where to start. Okay, this is great. I totally understand that. And what's interesting, I like Nami's one. Figuring out what unique insights you have to offer. One of the things that I do with all clients is I take them through their life story, and from that we can extract. People always have like one TEDx talk idea they have, but when you go through your life story, I can extract a dozen from your life story, and then we hone it down to your top 5 or 6. Then we get some polls going, and then we bring it down to your top 3, and then we pitch the top 3. That's my typical strategy I use with clients, but I like that. That's great. Okay, good. And again, there's somebody that's unmuted, and if you can just
I found him, Bobby.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right, good. So that's good. Some good ideas here. Thanks so much for this. All right, so let's get into that. Now, here's a big secret. You have a TEDx talk inside you. You know, Simon Sinek and Brené Brown. I mean, you don't have to be like them, but the truth is, when they started, they were nobodies. No one knew who they were, but they shared a story, and they shared. And I see that Chris taking a picture. Listen, if you want to take photos of my talk today and share it with the world on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter, or whatever it is, and share the top 3 things you learned today, and tag me, I would love that. I would love it. In fact, I will. If you tag me on Twitter, I will retweet to my 500,000 followers. If you tag me on LinkedIn, I will comment, and then my 46,000 followers on LinkedIn will see that I'm commenting, and it'll bring some love to your profile. That's a win-win as far as I'm concerned. But everyone has a story in them. It's just a question of how do we navigate that. So every single person can do a TED Talk. There are 10-year-olds who've done TED Talks. All right, so you want to know how I got them? Let me see if you got thumbs up or hearts. Can you do emoji reactions? There you go. I like emoji reactions. They're kind of fun. Where's my emoji reactions? It's always my favorite thing to do. Oh, see, I can't even do it now. Oh, man. Oh, here we go. There's my reactions. And a heart. Okay, there you go. Yeah, so let's get into it. So, and there's going to be 2 parts to this. The first part, and let's start with what do people do wrong? And I see people are putting questions in the slides. That's great. Questions will be put questions in. I will answer everything at the end of this thing. People have a bad idea. Their idea isn't unique enough. Is it something people really want to hear? Will the TEDx organizers like it? So most people have a bad idea. It's too holistic. So TEDx prefers ideas based on science, so they frown upon the more holistic ideas out there. Not saying that you can't talk about the power of your gemstone, but it's much more rare to do that. There is the odd TEDx talk that might allow it, but for the most part, it's quite rare. Okay, so you have to be careful about that. And it has to be evidence-based. If not, then a personal story with a good idea can also be really good. Like the guy who did the talk about the shoelace, right? How to tie shoelaces. That was just a personal story with a really simple idea, and it became a TED talk. The wrong audience. So if your idea doesn't fit the TEDx culture, isn't aligned with the theme of the TEDx event, the organizer won't take notice. And again, know your audience. If you know your audience, then you know what the TEDx audience is like. So, and we'll talk about culture in a minute here. Okay. So how I got that TEDx talks? Well, the first one I really got, was brand and thought leadership. In fact, I was invited to 7 TEDx talks, and all because I was a well-known quantity. People know who I was, and they loved what I was talking about. So that's the first one. Then, of course, building new leaders, coaching, volunteering, strategic target networking, and curating really good ideas. Let's talk about thought leadership for a second. So here are 8 people. Can you either name all 8 people in the chat box, or can you name one person and what they stand for in a few words? I'll start. Oprah Winfrey. She's all about personal development, and her brand. Brené Brown is all about vulnerability. I already gave you 2 names. Can you name all 8? Can you type Gary Vee, getting it done? Yeah, hustle, entrepreneurship. Okay. Anyone else you can name and what they stand for? What words do they remind you of? Put them in the chat box. I want to see what they are. Okay. Yes, the audience. Malala, education for girls. Steve Jobs, innovative. Beyonce, empowerment. Malala, women's rights. Authentic people, strong brands. Job innovation. Okay, great. So you get it. These are all thought leaders, and they represent certain things about thought leadership. Now, what exactly is thought leadership? Well, there's 3 main criteria. So you have to learn to build broad relationships and deep relationships, number 1. So Oprah Winfrey has her best friend, Gail, and she has her broad relationships, and then she also has the followers. You're innovating new ideas and content. So, Gary Vaynerchuk's doing a video. Oprah's writing books. Beyonce's writing songs. Number 3, you have to master communication skills, such as public speaking, writing, excellence, and storytelling. So Malala's writing books. Steve Jobs would appear on panels and do talks. They're always working on those things. And the more you develop all 3 of these, the more achievement and impact you have as a thought leader. So why is this important? Well, basically, if you're a thought leader, you're seen as an expert with a solid reputation. You have a huge network. You own the conversation, and so opportunities will come to you because you are memorable. You'll also, and that's where TEDx talks come your way. You'll have confidence to go after opportunities, so that when you pitch the TEDx talk, you're more likely to do it as opposed to just not doing it. And of course, people start to follow you. So Maria Forleo, she's a well-known brand. She's built a life in business. She's got her podcast, her videos, her business school, and so now she seems a thought leader. And of course, it's easier for her to get a TED talk than someone who doesn't have that same kind of thought leadership. Because if you know her background or story, she never really was planning to do this stuff. It just she found it and she went with it and she built it. Because thought leadership builds authority. So does TEDx. And for me, I built digital media influence with having 650,000 followers across social media and 2 billion impressions, and that's a big part of my brand. Has it helped me as a thought leader? Absolutely. I was named a top 100 leadership speaker alongside Richard Branson and Brené Brown. I'd been to 5 TEDx talks and invited to 8. I was named a top 75 LinkedIn influential voice alongside Gary Vaynerchuk. And so for me, it's helped tremendously. The second thing is building new leaders, coaching, and volunteering. So one of the ways to actually help is a lot of people who are doing TEDx talks are young and need support. So joining an advisory board, volunteering an event, coaching people. The first TEDx talk I got actually was from someone who worked for me as an intern, and then he's about to have to come do TEDx talks. I'm like, oh, okay, what's that? And I looked up and said, holy crap, everyone's done a TEDx talk. This is amazing. I got to do this. So investing in people and investing in events to be immersing yourself in that culture of TEDx and the people who are going to be leaders of tomorrow actually is a great strategy to get a TEDx talk. In fact, many of the ones that came to me, including the ones I rejected, they were from people that I had nurtured, I had invested in. Number 3, this one's really important. So strategic and targeted networking. So finding the right people to talk to influence, to work with, knowing who they are, and taking the time to build those relationships goes a long way. So targeting people who work at TEDx events, who sponsor TEDx events, who love TEDx talks, who are in the speaker industry, who are in technology industries and things like that. All those different things will help you plant the seeds for getting a TEDx talk. And then number 4, which is really important, which is curating a really good idea, because they want to see a really good idea. And most important is your idea is far more important than your ability to speak. I'm going to say that again. Your idea is far more important than your ability to speak. In the old days, they would hire motivational speakers like myself, but now they don't do that. They look for people who have a really good idea or a story. That's what's going to get you into the TEDx talk, okay? Ideally, you want it to align with the theme. Doesn't mean you have to, but the more it aligns with it, the better it's going to be. So if the entire theme of the event is we're focused on nanotechnology and you want to talk about, real estate, that's probably not going to work, okay? But the fifth TEDx talk that I did, the one that someone ever pitched to, they basically said the theme was power of connection. Now, if you know me on LinkedIn, my hashtag is power of connection, and I had a power of connection chat on Twitter for many, many years. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I got this thing in my pocket. I got to pitch this. So I sent the video. The next day they call me, we want you, and I went to that TEDx talk. Something new, fresh, or different. So you can't say, I want to talk about sales. Okay, that's not really good. But there was a TEDx talk about the ninjutsu of sales. So this guy talked about ninja philosophy and how he applied it to sales. Okay, so now he has sales, but now it's a fresh, different take on it, and that's okay. It's got to be simple, and you don't necessarily have to solve today. Sometimes you do, like with the paper towel guy. Like it's 3 minutes long. He just basically said, when you wash your hands, shake your hands twice vigorously, then grab one paper towel instead of two, and let's save billions of paper towels in the trash or the compost. And so that was a great, simple idea. And ultimately, it has to have a story and a conversation around. Like, what's the story? What's the conversation that you're trying to get into? That's what we want. They want your story. They want you to start a conversation. So, with that, I want to hear what ideas you have for a TEDx talk. And normally when I work with clients, I go into deeper, I do deeper dives and go deep. But just this morning, actually, I had my TEDx coaching group, which I've been running this year. And one of the reasons why I'm doing TEDx now is because it's been really a great process for the last year and a half. I ran a group coaching program last summer. It went really well. My client got a TEDx talk. The ones who do the work, of course. The ones who don't do the work do nothing. But the ones who do the work got the TEDx talk. Then I had clients this year, and every time I work with them and with the methodology, they land a TEDx talk. So I'm batting 1,000%. Sorry, 100%, not 1,000%, 100%. But I'm batting 1,000 is what I wanted to say. And now I ran another group coach program this fall, and it's going really well. And so we talked about this, and honing their ideas takes some time, but we're now getting to a really good point where they're going to be able to pitch with confidence. So I want to hear your talk ideas in the chat box. What ideas you have? Ignite yourself leadership. Impact yourself. People see what you feel. Okay, that's intriguing. Ignite yourself leadership. That's a bit broad. The concept of code switching. Oh, I like code switching. That's kind of cool. That's an interesting one. Endurance reveals truth. Okay, yeah, that's good. What else? Oh boy, that's a doozy there. Direction. But assess the efficacy of international human rights mechanisms. Okay, so I think probably that's a very, very big topic, but I think that there's lots of opportunity there. I would say your idea is going to come from the story itself, not the actual title, because either it's a story or it's the title. So, for example, a story. I went to the moon and tripped over a rock. That's a TEDx talk, because we want to hear that story. And what did you learn from that? Tripping on the rock, right? How to be a Zen hustler for bounce, work, play. Iron Man, Iron Mind. Okay, that's interesting. Iron Mind. Intersectional leadership. Again, that's a great topic, but it's broad direction. We have to find a way to really make it stand out and be unique. Because people do talk about intersectionality. I mean, as part of leadership, maybe not so, but I think there's something there. Psychological safety, death in my bones. Okay, Jonathan, tell me more about that, baby. That's a good one. Work with your brain, ADHD leadership. Yeah, okay. Okay, we'll do some good ones. Okay, I like this. And, feel free to, how to eliminate migraines with cold water swimming. Okay. Wow, never heard of that one. Helen, that's right. Oh, I like that one. That's good. Okay, find my ikigai. Okay, Rasul, I love ikigai, but again, it's been talked about a lot. How do we be more specific about that? And again, some great ideas here. Share with each other your thoughts. I'm going to keep going, but I love this. This is great. Sharing ideas and brainstorming is the start of the journey, guys. Okay. So the hardest part is knowing your full story to extract the multiple ideas and come up with the best one. It's also hard to identify the right topic because you need to know what TEDx is like. You also need to know what people like myself would advise you on it, getting people to vote on, things like that. crafting that tantalizing title, because when you send the application, right, everyone's going to see that title. Is it going to get their attention? And then, of course, leveraging for your brand. So once you do have the TEDx talk, how do we actually then leverage it? Or even leveraging your brand to begin with to get the TEDx talk. All right, so where to start? I'm ready. You're ready to do a talk. Now what? So I'm gonna. Who wants a step-by-step process? I got my 6 steps for you guys. You guys up for this? Thumbs up, please. I like the thumbs up. Or hearts are even better. Hearts. I never do it right. It's like, is it like this? It's like, never. It's like this. Okay, I did that. All right. So where do we start? So number one, you find TEDx events near you. Thank you, Chris. That was lovely. Find TEDx events near you. Now these are on the TEDx, the TED.com global site. There's also actually, you can Google them too, because the TED.com site's actually really crappy. It's not really that helpful, but you can find a few, and then you can Google search some other ones. I actually have a tool that I might give to some people that gives you a really cool list of all the TEDx events around, but you want to find the TEDx events near you. Then we want to determine your big new ideas. Now, I encourage you to always have multiple, not just the one, right? So I always say we brainstorm like a dozen for your life story, break it down to 5 or 6, pull the crap out of it to see what people like, work with a coach like myself and get your top 3, and then we build the pitch, the application for that. You also want to start connecting with organizers right away. So here's me talking to Trishala from the TEDx UW. She was a lead there, and she invited me to the event. I didn't actually speak there, but I did go to the event to network and meet people because I want to immerse myself in the culture. So connect with organizers is a big piece of it as well. And then it's also important which TEDx events to target and also which to reject. Now, people have asked me, Bobby, why did you reject 3 TEDx talks? I mean, don't you want to be an 8-time TEDx speaker? Well, I would, but they were kind of crappy. They were disorganized. They didn't have a website. There was just so much, like, even one for my alma mater. You know, I love that I went to McMaster University, but when they asked me to do a TED Talk, they had done a couple of TEDx events, and I was like, okay, great. Where's the stuff from last year and 2 years ago? And they couldn't tell me anything. I was like, well, you know what? I don't think I want to do this. Like, I want you to be able to promote my brand and give me a video, because I want the video. Whereas when TEDx UTSE came about, they were super organized. 9 months in advance, they brought me a speaker coach, even though I didn't need one. They had all these things planned, so I was like, I'm excited to do this one, and I got a really good video out of it. The other thing I think about is, like, you know, what are the speaker profiles? Like, you know, if you look at this photo, I don't know who this dude is, but that's Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, that's Bradley Cooper, Ellen DeGeneres, Meryl Streep, Jennifer Lawrence, and Julia Roberts. And so this guy with a whole bunch of superstars, that's great branding. So if you're in a TEDx event with a bunch of superstars, that's a good thing. But at the same time, you could be an event where you're the superstar and everyone else are just, let's say, maybe they're professors and students from a university or college, and maybe that's good too. We have to decide what's it worth to you. I've had the pleasure of both. I was one where I was the key speaker, and the other one where I was amongst the crowd, but they have different benefits. The other thing I think about is the alignment of the idea. So my friend here, you know, she actually had a TEDx, she's from Canada, but there was a TEDx opportunity in Zurich, and she knew people that were there. So because of the relationship and because of the theme, and because she knew where she was going, she decided to pitch there, got in, and she did her first TEDx talk there. So how organized are they? What speaker profiles are there? How have they grown as an event? Do they have a social media presence? Who is their target audience? These are things you have to think about when you target the right TEDx events. And then one of the things that you want to do is you want to create a nomination plan. So when it comes to nomination plans, you can nominate yourself. You can create a nomination team. You can find nomination buddies, so you can go in pairs, and maybe you might find your buddy here today. You can also network. Offer to come to speak at the school TEDx's. You know, if a school in your local area is doing a TEDx talk, offer to speak to their alumni and just do a talk and get them to know you, so you can come maybe and pitch for a TEDx talk. Leverage your relationship with the organizers and partners. Leverage your social media thought leaders, your brand out there, so people know who you are, know what you talk about, and so they'll want to work with you because they see that you're putting stuff out there. And for me, I insist all my clients put together a short 3 to 5 minute video as part of the pitch, and I'll work with you on that. Here's a typical speaker application. You got to be able to actually answer all these questions. So one of the things I'll work with clients is we put together the application template so that whatever the TEDx talk is, whatever questions they ask, you are ready to just pitch and answer all those questions. Now, what do the judges want? Right? They want funny stuff. Sorry, that's my Muppets impression here, but they want some good stuff here. So what do the judges want? So what the TEDx organizers want, and it's important to know, they don't want speakers. They want presenters or teachers of an idea. That's what they want. They want your idea to align with their theme, be unique or have a unique slant, which I already talked about. They want high-profile branded thought leaders. Why? Because it brings profile to their event. So when I pitched the video to my 5th TEDx talk, I said, hey, listen, I have a large profile of 500,000 followers. I will promote your event like crazy to all my followers. And I'll take people on the story and journey. You can see my video content on Instagram and LinkedIn. I will happily do that. They love that. Can you clearly convey an idea? Can you walk and talk? They like unique personalities. So if you have some video content of you, that's going to go a long way. And they prefer others nominate you. So I know my friend Drew Dudley told me that the reason he got his first TEDx talk on TEDx Toronto that helped elevate his career was because a dozen people nominated him, and they were like, everyone had like 3 or 4 nominations. This guy has dozens. We need to bring this guy in and talk to him. And so that's how he got it. So how do I make them want me? So this is where I talk about the 6 steps that are really important. And this is the most, how to make them want you. So step 1 is you got to know the culture of TED. You have to understand exactly what TED is all about and why TED and TEDx are so important and what people like about it. So the culture of TEDx is very simple. Give us the best idea of your life. Share your personal story and background. Dive deep into the topic that you're getting into, the one topic or one idea. Use minimal slides. And do it 18 minutes or less with a giant clock watching you. And I can tell you when I first found out about this, I was kind of hyperventilating. What part do you think I was hyperventilating about? 1 through 5. Which one? Just type in the box. What do you think? It's not number 2 because I'm very fine with sharing my story. Yeah, so a lot of people say the do it 18 minutes or less. That was definitely the second hardest thing for me. The clock, like it was using minimal slides. I'm a PowerPoint guy. I see my PowerPoint. I love PowerPoint. No, PowerPoint. What are you talking about? I was freaking out. So that slide there. That is like I was like, wow. I mean, I only have 6 words on that slide. It was so hard for me to do that because I typically go a little bit longer. But if you want to do a really good TED Talk, you tell the story your way, not other people's way. So use your style. It's not about you, it's about the audience. Stick to the clock, because if you go over by more than a minute and a half, or you go over or if you go over the 18-minute thing and it ends up being 25 minutes, it won't get featured on TED.com. It just won't. They'll make an exception. Tony Robbins had one that went 21 minutes, but generally speaking, they're not going to do that. And if it's not personal, it's not as worthwhile. Okay? If it's not personal, it's not as worthwhile. Understand the context of the event and use the tools you have. Bill Gates talked about malaria and had a jar of mosquitoes. He said, these mosquitoes in this jar, I brought them in from Africa. They all have malaria. And then he opened the jar and all the mosquitoes flew out. And everyone was like, oh. And he's like, it's okay. We're immune. Now imagine if we weren't immune. That's the problem with malaria in Africa. And he really, really made a huge point with that. So how do we make them want you? Know the culture of TED. Number 2, you have to curate the best ideas, because again, I saw your ideas and no offense, I love you very much, but most of them were not that good. Okay, or they're too broad, they weren't good enough. Some of them were catchy, so there's some good ones, but you have to work on the best ideas and get 3 really good ideas. You want to curate the right connections in the community for this. And then step 4 is something that a lot of people don't realize. To make them want you got to follow up, be responsive, be accessible, be open and flexible. So when TEDx UTSC said, Bobby, we want to give you a speaker coach, and I'm like, guys, I'm a professional speaker. I don't need a speaker coach. I said, sure, I'm happy to meet them, because I don't want to come across as a diva. I don't want to be a jerk. Another time when I hired speakers for an event, I said, hey, listen, can you send me your bio? Can you send me a bio so I know a little bit more about you? The person waited 2 weeks and then sent me a link to their bio saying, hey, do you still want me? I'm like, no, I don't want you, because I don't want people who take 2 weeks to respond to a damn message when time is of the issue. So be responsive, be accessible, be open and flexible to the people that want. And then, of course, build thought leadership, which I'm going to dive into a little bit more, and then also a bonus idea at step 6. Okay? And I see that people are sharing a lot of great comments here, which I love. I love that you're sharing stuff, which is good. So keep it up. And again, there's Q&A at the end too. Now, before we get into the last two big ideas and the Q&A, I'll stay on as long as you guys want me to answer questions. I want to share something special with you, and I've already alluded to this, but let me just share it here. So I'm launching a 5-day challenge 2024. It's going to be a deep dive. Unlock the secret blueprint to land your first TEDx talk. So it's going to be 5 days with me, 1 hour each day, plus follow-ups and all those other things, but 1 hour each day. We're going to dive deep into your story, your ideas, your application. I'm going to leverage my signature methodology to guarantee success. I actually have a 17-page booklet that I take my clients through. And I'm going to share with you exactly how to do that. It's going to be limited to 40 people. Now, why 40 people? Well, we typically want to have it, more immersive, be able to respond to everybody and help them get to that next level. Because if you have 200, it's going to be a little bit too difficult to do that. So I'm going to limit it to 40 people. I'm also happy to mention that I'm partnering with Chris Coulter, who is the guru of doing 5-day challenges effectively, so that people get the most out of it, the most value out of it. So I really appreciate that about having him here. So you technically have, two co-hosts, which is kind of cool. And of course, the initial investment is only $100. Why? Because you got to put a little bit of meat in the game to do it. But we're talking about a value of 5 1 hour trainings plus all the stuff I'm going to give you. The value is way higher than that. But I want people to have meat in the game. I want people who are seriously committed to doing the work. Because the truth is, whenever I run anything, like look at this, we have 120 people signed up for the workshop. How many people showed up to this thing? Not everybody, right? And I get some people have busy lives and whatnot, but people sometimes don't, and then sometimes people pay for my stuff and they don't show up. So I want to make sure you're invested and you're willing to do the work and you really want it. So and the website for that, it's going to be in the link. Make sure the link will be, the link's coming up, guys. Thanks, Wendy. I appreciate that. The link is right there. Chris will put the link in the chat. This is to get on the wait list. Okay, so when you get on the wait list, you get an email, and then you'll be able to, you'll be first to know when we launch the entire program. Because right now I haven't put together a LinkedIn invite for it, and we have some things set up, but we're still working on that. And a little bit more about what's happening here. So. Day one, we're going to talk about, is TEDx right for you? I know a lot of people are like, I'm not even sure I should do a TEDx. So getting through the doubts, the mindset, and just reframing why you can do a TEDx talk and help you dive into that. That's day one. We'll set a vision and a plan for getting you there. That's what day 2 is going to be all about. And again, I want to go back to something here. I forgot to mention it. 1 hour each day. So basically, it's going to be 30 minutes of interactive training. And then it's going to be interactive, working with you, hearing your story, and going through all that stuff. Okay, so it's going to be 30 minutes of training, 30 minutes of the interactive piece. That's what we're going to be doing. Number 3, find the right story and convert it into a solid idea. So I'm going to show you how to take some of your stories, and I'm going to hopefully you'll share your stories with me, and I'm going to start molding and massaging it right there on the spot with you. Day 4, we're also looking to building a brand story around your expertise, because if you have an expertise in 1, 2, or 3 areas, what's the story around doing that and building that thought leadership brand on who you are? That's what we want to figure out, because they're all these things are linked. And then day 5 is just Q&A. I will take you through everything you're working on. I'll take you through the next steps and how you want to do even more with what we're trying to do. Okay, so that's the 5 days. So again, the link for this, if you want to get on the wait list, is networkingtime.com/TEDx waitlist. And of course, you need to have some testimonials. So, Jose is one of my favorite, most successful clients of my life. He's actually now done, I believe, 4 TEDx talks, and he loves all my speaker insights and all my no fluff that he talks about it straight to business. Crizel took my group coaching program last summer, where I guaranteed a TED Talk in writing. She got her TED Talk promoted online, which was exciting because she did the work. And then, of course, my individual client, Michael, also signed up with a TED Talk guarantee, and his went pretty fast. He got the TEDx Talk within 3 months, which is pretty fast. But he was grateful, and he got it, and he's also one of my testimonials on my page. So, I have, and what I can tell you is that every single person that I've shared my methodology with and has done the work has landed TEDx Talk. Guaranteed. So the other thing I'm going to share with you guys is I'm also going to offer a VIP pass bonus. Okay, so if you want to bypass the wait list and get right into it, number 1, I'll throw in a VIP pass bonus. So what you'll get is you get a 60-minute one-on-one clarity call with me. Now, the reason for this is to really understand where you're coming from, set you up for this is before the challenge. So basically for the next month, I'm booking these calls. If you want to get that one-on-one clarity with me, like a coaching call, I'm going to take you through and get you prepared and get you a step ahead of everybody else that's going to be in the challenge in January. So that's kind of what that's for. I'm also going to be sharing with you a special Excel sheet of all the TEDx events around the world, which includes all the names, the dates, the pages, the organizers, all that stuff. And it's recent up to November of 2023. So this is a big deal. It's worth a lot. You'll get that as well. And I'm also going to throw on a 1-hour training I put together on building a winning mindset, which is all about a winning mindset with networking mastery. So because networking is a big part of, as I mentioned, a big part of TEDx success, you need to do a lot of relationship building. So you'll get that and it'll help you give you some tools. So that's something I'm going to throw in as well as a bonus. But this is for people who sign up for the VIP Pass bonus. Investment is $300. If you already end up buying the $100, we'll waive the $100 fee, but basically it's only $300 to get access to that. And for this, we have a different website. This is again allows you to bypass what the wait list is. So it's called networkingtime.com/VIP checkout, and we'll put that there. And I'd like to actually introduce Chris, because Chris is partnering with me on this challenge. He's the 5-day challenge guru, but also I want him to share a few more words about what we're planning to do in January and what we're planning to do with this.
First of all, thank Wendy. I saw your comment, Bobby. This has been awesome. Is this helping you all, right? You signed up, you took an hour out of your day, and I understand what getting an hour out of your day is like, right? None of us like fluff. None of us like wasting time. So I want to give honor to Bobby, who got right to the point today, because how many of you have got on events? Hey, how's everybody doing? And 45 minutes later, you're like, why did I attend this thing? So I'm looking to do a TEDx talk personally, and the insight Bobby just gave was huge. I mean, I got so many moments of breakthrough. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm Chris Colt, the challenge champion. Over the last 3 years, I've been doing 5-day, 3-day challenges nonstop for clients. And really what this is for you attending, mine is getting time with Bobby, getting everything you hear. It's a transformational event for you. No fluff. We're going to get to the point every day, 30 minutes of content, 30 minutes of Q&A with Bobby. That's game changing. So those of you that got on the wait list will probably officially have all doors open next week based on some things we're dealing with on the tech side and making sure we have some launch patterns together. But for those of you that take advantage of the VIP, you will get on a call with Bobby immediately by the end of this month. And I will tell you, I've done hundreds of challenges. Those that take advantage of the VIP will get much further faster, because you're going to walk into the challenge with the framework, and what Bobby teaches in the challenge is only going to accelerate faster. So I'm looking forward to those that are going to be in the challenge working with them. We're going to have a great week together. I'll be hosting this, making sure everything goes smooth. But, you know, Bobby's the zone of genius. Bobby's going to bring the fire. So this is really all Bobby's giving you all the value he has. But we look forward to seeing you. Any questions, you can sign up for the VIP now. You'll be locked in, and Bobby will get you on his calendar, and then you're already locked into the challenge. And we'll waive that $100 fee. When we launch the challenge, that waiving of the fee will go away. So I'll just let you know, you guys are finding out about this before we told anybody else. So Bobby, looking forward to working with you. Looking forward to seeing those that attend, and I'll turn this back over to you.
Yeah, that's right. With some of these things, this is the first time we're even sharing the link, but it's not publicly out there. So, okay. So, as I said, we talked about the step 1, 2, 3, and 4, but let's talk a bit more about thought leadership and step 6. So, the reason why thought leadership is so important is having built up my Twitter, having built up my LinkedIn, having built up all the different things. Again, they see what you're talking about. They see that you have influence, and so when you actually pitch, they're more likely to take you in. And at the same time, you know, I think that building a thought leadership brand is going to help you with your business or career, regardless. And so because I'm a big thought leadership guy, and because I have to run the Thought Leadership Brand Club, which is a regular, club, a membership community, I'm really big on this. I'm really passionate about helping people get their mindset, confidence, content strategy, storytelling, the relationships with personal branding, and leveling up. So you're going to get this extra with me, because I'm going to teach you how to do thought leadership, and I'll look at all your stuff to make sure you're doing it. And then step 6, you can start your own TEDx event. So what's really interesting is that if you look at the list that I'm going to give you for the VIP Pass of all global events, if there's not a TEDx event in your area, you could actually apply to run one. Now, the caveat, of course, is that it doesn't mean you can have your own TEDx talk. But for some people who want to do a 2-year plan, you can actually run a TEDx event and create a committee of people do it, and then the next year get them to then you do a TED Talk at that event. It's a very clever way that a lot of people have done this. The only thing is you cannot be the organizer of the event the first time you do it. So you run the event, get it set up, establish the legacy, and keep it going. And then next year, you do the TEDx talk. So that's a longer term plan, but it works. And I know people who've done it. So some final thoughts before we end the call and go to the Q&A. Again, one of the things about TEDx Talks is always making people feel something. Do they feel empowered? Do they feel heard? Do they feel like they've learned something? If you can come across by teaching somebody something and making them feel something, that's what a TEDx Talk's all about. And of course, every single person needs a coach. I can tell you, I have a coach for fitness, I have a coach for my own business, and a coach, helps me focus, makes me accountable, they 10x my results, whatever I'm trying to do. That's why coaching is so, so important. I'm a big believer in it. So why TEDx? It's a huge branding opportunity. You get strong marketing material with the video. It's a chance to make the TED.com page and really elevate your career and your business. Where to start? Find locations, curate the ideas, find the best theme, connect with organizers, determine your target TEDx events, create a nomination plan. Culture of TED: simple, clear, relevant, enjoyable, and original. Share your story, your way, your message with your audience. And of course, how to make them want you, know the culture, create the best idea, curate the right connections, follow, be responsive, be accessible, open, and flexible, build a huge thought leadership brand. And of course, the bonus was to start your own TEDx event. All right, so you guys ready to start? If you are, then I'm looking forward to the Q&A and answering your questions. Hope you found this training value add to you. For those who are watching the replay, you will get the replay if you've registered, of course. And I'll leave it on for a short period of time, but hopefully you guys will make the most of it. All right, and this is my contact information, but right now what I want to do, I know there's lots of questions in the chat box, so I want to make sure we get to those things, and the people who had to leave sadly will not get the answers to those questions. So, I guess they get the replay. We'll see what happens. So with that, let's get into the Q&A. And if you want me to look at another slide, I can always go back to another slide. All right, guys, so let's see here. Here's everybody. Thanks for sticking around. All right, so Chris, maybe you can help me with what are the questions, because I actually haven't been able to keep track.
Yeah, so one was, I don't know what the dates, I can't tell who this is, asking about the dates, not sure, but here's one question I saw that I had. And
the dates are I think the dates are about the January challenge. So
it's the January challenge. So
January 15th and 19th. If you check out the websites, you'll see the waiting list, as well as the VIP checkout, you'll see what the dates are.
Yeah, that's right. We didn't actually give those dates. There you go.
You didn't. January 15th and 19th from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And now, of course, if you sign up, you still get replays and whatever. You can't make a day. Like, I get it, 5 days, but that's what it is. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I'm trying to find my chat blew up, and then the one I had marked for you. Go ahead. I'm going to say your name wrong. Dikurshan? I know I said that wrong, but go ahead, ask your question, and I'll find the other one I saw in here.
It's Dikurshan.
There you go.
Dikurshan. Hi, Dikurshan. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. I feel like we met at a TED Talk like 10, 12 years
ago. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, over a decade ago. So I find it really, I love that this is how we're reconnecting now. The question was related to, someone who's a multi-passionate person. I put a bunch of ideas in the chat, and I'm wondering how well I know that Brene Brown, for example, her famous TED Talk was based on her, for example, academic, work and thesis and life's work. I'm wondering, what are your suggestions on how to translate, findings, like key findings from a thesis into a TED Talk, or if that's not a good strategy? Because there are some very impactful findings that I've presented in academic forums. Even this weekend I presented about, basically the challenges that persecuted communities have in basically getting the world to intervene in genocides. And one of the core root reasons, is something I presented this weekend. Would that translate into a TED Talk, or do you recommend veering away from like academic topics?
No, it definitely does well with the TED Talk. So what I would say though is that you have to simplify it in a way that makes. So for example, Brene Brown's talk was just about the power of vulnerability, right? And so it was a very simple concept, but people got it. Simon Sinek would start with the why. What does that mean? Okay, let's learn more what that means. So if you take the topic, academic topics do very, very well. I mean, a lot of academics have done them. In fact, in the early days, it was a lot of academics were doing these TED Talks. So it's just about taking. You mentioned there's a root issue, a root problem. Either your TED Talk is going to be identifying that root issue, or it's going to be identifying a story that perfectly encapsulates the thesis of what you're trying to say, right? So, I think I made one up earlier. I went to the moon and I tripped on a rock. Well, what does that mean? I don't know. So maybe there's a talk there. Similarly, there could be a story about this, and you can get into it. But I think there's definitely a lot of potential. The good news about academic is because it has evidence-based type background behind it, and usually lots of case studies and stories around it. That actually works very, very well for TEDx. They will actually like that if it's based on a paper, based on something you've written that's been published. I think that's a really good tool to use. It's just a question of, again, the challenge for most people doing TED Talk is I don't know how to frame this and position it to pitch it in the right way. That's kind of where I come in with my methodology, my program.
Okay, that makes sense. I think that gives me an idea just now, because the story behind it would be maybe the fact that my community is facing a genocide, and I went to the UN to advocate for it, and that's how I discovered the challenges and did research based on that, and then that led to the discovery of like a root issue. And I think that's kind of, I just don't like personally bringing my story sometimes, but I think I'll get over that eventually.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there are the odd TED Talks where they tell stories of other people and then have the idea, which is fine. But for the most part, TEDx is very into you telling your personal story, so that goes a long way. So, but I appreciate that. I had a client actually. He wanted to talk about anxiety, but he didn't want to get the details of his anxiety. He did eventually agree to share his personal story, and he did get the TED Talk. So I'm like, you know, this is really good. Yeah, so there are ways around. There's creative ways around that in terms of how we position the talk and how we position the pitch.
Great, thank you.
No problem. Thanks. Let's hear from Wendy.
Bobby, I'm going to bring up Wendy, and I'm going to bring up Jared for you. And then I just wanted to give a shout out to Glenn, and I know Brian, I think he dropped off. Shout out, I got the alerts that you guys signed up for VIP. Awesome.
Great, thanks. Okay, go ahead, Wendy.
Well, I know I'm going to be signing up for VIP right after this call. I already have it up on my computer. Because, first of all, I'm part of Bobby's TLB club. And for those of you who don't know about it, Bobby gives 100,000% of himself. And I think right now it's still only $250 a year to join. And here's the thing, I know I can even talk to him about it as a part of the club, but this is so specific. And so, Bobby, I just wanted to clarify, because like I have an idea for a talk. And so we're going to work through whether it will be a good talk, and then how to best present it, and which TEDx location would be best. Is that like kind of what we're going to do with this?
Well, I mean, the general idea would be actually to understand your idea. I mean, I would encourage you to have more than one idea. I would want you to build more. But if you have one idea that you want to explore, I mean, again, each person will want to, you may want to dive deep into that and build the application, build the pitch, build the title, and make sure it's really catchy. We can certainly do that. But I'm going to encourage you to take the methodology I'm going to explain, and I'm going to actually say, look, let's build 3 talks. But if the one of them is the leading one, the whole idea is to make sure your talk is awesome and makes sense, and we can pitch it. And for the most part, I mean, almost every idea can be reframed into a pitchable talk. It's very rare I'll say, no, you can't talk about that. Like, unless someone says, I want to talk about, to be honest, the one I use is the magic of gems or something like that. That's not going to cut it. And it would be very hard to pitch that one for a TED Talk. Does that make sense?
Well, I'm in, and 2024, my goal is to land a TEDx talk. So I'm looking forward to being with you that week, talking about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Jerry, go ahead.
We're looking forward to having you too, and I'm on a similar goal with you, so we'll be working on that together.
Let's hear from Jared.
Guys, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we're good.
Great to see you, Bobby. Thank you. As normal, your content is just stellar, and it's jam-packed with amazing tips and content. So I've been on the other side of it for many years as a producer on the back end on the media arm. What is the logistic or licensing issues around the content? Who owns the content? Is it based on each TEDx so that these speakers can all get their media to repurpose the content?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So I'll share my failure in the past, which I'm now going to teach you. So I have 5 TEDx talks, but I only have 3 videos. Why? Because 2 of those TEDx events screwed up the parameters around TED.com, and TED is very, very strict about branding and things like that. So I got no video. So what I tell all my clients now is that you need to make sure you have somebody there with a tripod and a camera take an image of it, because if they screw up on the TED, you won't get it, and that sucks. So you need to have that. You know, in fact, I'll share the story of my client just now. The one who did the TEDx talk, he did it in October, and they said that the video will be ready in 2 weeks, and he messaged me like 6 weeks later. He's not coming. What's going on Friday? I'm like, dude, I told you to bring a tripod, and he didn't do that. But really anxious because he's talking about anxiety. He was anxious that there was no video because. So I think it's important to have that because yes, TED does own certain rights about that, and so that's why it's important for you to bring your own video because. But I also will say that the video question is something that's incredibly important for a TED Talk. You want to get the video. And so you talk to organizers about what's your video setup. Oh, we haven't thought about it yet. Oh, that's a red flag. Whereas when I did the TEDx, the first one, oh, we have a 3-camera system. 3-camera system. That's fantastic. Okay, this is great. So that's important to know.
Great. Yeah, we have ours coming up in April here in Santa Cruz. So I'm hoping to become a media partner. I'm talking to the producers.
Okay.
So
very good.
Fingers crossed. Thanks, Ted. Thanks, Bobby.
All right. Cool.
Hey, good seeing you again, Jared.
You too, bud.
Any other questions?
Shout out to Wendy. Wendy just got the alert. Welcome. Pam, you had a question. Let me go back here. So, Bobby, at the end of the 5-day challenge, what will the outcome be? Is it that you have your full pitch application planned for a talk? Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean,
shout out. Just saw you, so you got VIP. I gave you a shout out before, Brian. Talker.
And Chris, you can probably answer this too a little bit because you've done 5-day challenges, but the general gist is we're not going to have everything ready in 5 days.
Yeah.
Like you're not. So I would say that the whole goal here is I'm going to share. I'm going to move you further along for sure. So if you're quick with I'll give you all the tools and the strategy on how to get there, and we'll definitely dive deep into your talk idea and really honing it. We'll dive deep into the application piece. But I would say that at the end of it, you will have all the steps it takes to do it on your own, or you can do it further with me. So I'll also have more things for people to do with me, like whether they want coaching or they want to take part of my group coaching program, whatever that might be, which is more directive. Like the one-on-one coaching I've done with the client that discussed TED Talk in October. I mean, that was a 6-month program. The group coaching program that I just did this fall, that was a 12-week program. So, Chris and I are actually developing a much more sophisticated program based on the programs I've already done before. So I've done 2 group coaching programs, and I've done several one-on-one stuff. And I've also put together my 17-page booklet or roadmap, as I call it. I'm actually going to probably build it up because I'm putting a lot of energy into this January thing. So I'm spending all my time in December talking about TEDx, changing my LinkedIn profile, booking one-on-one calls with you guys with the VIP, and then basically putting together a really amazing program afterwards. But I think that there's some people that do more work than others. You would have the full process on how to do it and what to do. But I don't think it'll be done in 5 days. I mean, that would be very challenging to do. Hope that makes sense. Chris, anything else to add?
Yeah, no, and I'll just tell you, I've done a ton of challenges, Pam, and like they create transformation. They bring you forward. These are no fluff. You're going to get something that moves you forward each and every single day. But for anybody to promise you, like, you're going to be on a TEDx stage in 2 months out of a 5-day, now you can implement what Bobby teaches if you're really good at that, and maybe this will happen. But for us to look you in the eye and say, hey, 5 days, you'll be on the stage in 30 days, right? We would never say that to you. We would give you the framework that you could start to work with that gets you very far along. And then afterwards, you can make a decision. Do you want to continue on to guarantee you get there? Or are you going to take what you learned and run with that? That's up to you. That option is, that's what we always bring through. But you will get a lot of framework and everything that you need to really start this process and get a lot of clarity.
And I will add that on that thing, I will put my guarantee in writing that I can get you a TEDx talk. So if you follow my methodology and you do the work, I can guarantee you'll get a TEDx talk. And so far, I'm batting 100%. So I stand behind what I've done, and I know that I can do it. So that's going to be in a contract if you work with me further. Let's go to Brian. Oh yeah, sorry, Chris.
Yeah. So I'm in a unique position. Last night, I had an audition as a finalist for a TEDx talk here in Philadelphia. So what I was looking for, hopefully, is since I know a lot of your talks came from them reaching out to you because your brand was that strong at that point. In your initial talks, or maybe just the general process, is it normal to go through like a few rounds of finalists and auditions before deciding on the final speakers, or is it just different for each city and branch?
Yeah, so that's the one part about TEDx, which is really challenging for a lot of folks because every single TEDx curator is different. So how the organization team wants to do things. Some people have no audition, they don't even invite speakers. They basically seek out people and they tell them. Other people have auditions. Other people have the application process. So It really depends from group to group, but for the most part, generally speaking, they accept lots of applications, they interview a bunch of people, and then they make the decision. So I think you're in a process that's pretty standard.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Did I miss anything else on the chat? I mean, again, I'm happy to...
Azir, I just put in a chat for you when the challenge is. So just one more time, the week of the 15th of January. So we're giving plenty of time here. 11:30 a.m. Eastern every day. All's recorded, so you don't make a day. You get access to that, right? That's important. Hour a day, 30-ish minutes of content, 30-ish minutes of Q&A. Now, we make these interactive, so don't hold us, hey, 11 to 11:30 is the content. And then, oh, no, now, like, this is immersive. We want you guys to get results and have fun, and we don't want to be presenting the whole time. So understand, like, it will be a full hour, but it'll be very interactive. Jerry could tell you, he's attended a lot of my challenges before. That's how we do these. So that week, you can sign up for the wait list, which I just put in the chat again, Azir, and we'll announce this next week, $100 to join. What we did for anybody on here who's finding out early, waived the $100, get you the $300 VIP where you get a one-on-one with Bobby. The whole list of upcoming TEDx's that he's going to share with you. We waived the $100, and that's $300. You can sign up for that now if you decide to. So, just want to
I want to make a point about the people who are really involved. So, I shared testimonials of people in the past, and one of my most successful client to date was Jose Peranian. He is a 5-time TED speaker. He speaks around the world. And what I can tell you is when he took my group coaching program, he was asking questions left, right, and center all the time. He was heavily invested. And I see that all the time with everything I do. Like I used to teach a GMAT class. You know, people want to do their MBAs. And in my class of 10, 12, young professional students, professional adults, there's always like 2 or 3 who are super gung-ho. There's another 2 or 3 who are okay, and other people who never speak at all. Who do you think always has the most success? The ones who are really engaged in speaking and asking questions. It definitely makes a big difference. So I think the people who are engaged will definitely do well.
Yeah, I'll tell you, experience always shows those that come and play full out, they get the results, they start to see things change. It's anything in life, right? When you come and play full out and give your commitment to it, the good things happen from there.
Okay, any other questions? I hope we didn't miss anything. I mean, again,
I've cleaned through here. It was Jared's that I was looking for because he asked that earlier, and I had so many chats hit me, I missed it. So that was the one I couldn't find before. So we're good.
Yeah, if anyone has like even a random question or a small question, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Like I got direction. Go ahead.
Yeah, there we go. One more.
I didn't want to take up too much space, but if there's time for another question, I thought I'd ask. Another idea for a talk would be based more on personal experiences, and I recently, I've been certified as a life coach recently, and my journey there has been mostly through healing through trauma, physical illnesses, like healing endometriosis, and like the mind, body, soul healing that's happened along the way. The things that I've come to learn about, this condition and how it affects the way it affects women isn't necessarily what we're taught about it. So I was wondering, I've always wanted to share this healing journey, and the only concern I have is that I'm not a medical professional, let's say, to speak on the topic of a medical condition. Now, the medical doctors, of course, don't even have very much insight on what causes it, and I've really found a lot of healing through natural, alternative healings and different kinds of healings. So I'm wondering, what are your thoughts on not being a medical professional when discussing the healing of an illness? I can speak for my own healing journey, but to be considered qualified, what do you think?
Yeah, so a couple things. So for example, my client who got the TEDx talk in October, he talked about anxiety, and he was always worried that I'm not really a professional, I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist, should I talk about this? It's perfectly fine to talk about your personal experiences. No one's going to judge you for that, right? Now, the more you can add to the science and the evidence of what's there, the data, that's going to certainly add to it. But you can share your personal experience, because at the end of the day, there's going to be somebody in the audience or a TEDx event that's going to relate to that personal experience. We've all had these situations. I mean, we've all had situations where we go counter to what what has happened or what people say you should do, blah blah blah, and all of a sudden we're having some sort of outcome that surprises us. I mean, that's a TED talk in itself. So I think you can totally do that. It's just a question of reframing it. And one thing is I'll do. What I would do is, as we go through your TED talk, I'd also, before we actually dive into the application piece, I'd actually want to structure the talk first. So here's your TEDx idea, here's the main gist, here's the title, and now here's the structure of the talk. Once we have that and we know what it's all about, then we work on the application, because then we're going to be better answering the questions. Because if you have the structure laid out, it'll be easy to answer the questions in a way that will impress the TEDx organizers.
Thanks again.
No problem. Any other questions, guys? I see everyone's being very nice. I appreciate that. Yeah, again, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have before we go, or thoughts, feedback. What do you want to tell people who watch the replay? Anyone else?
You also see, we'll see Bobby and I do a LinkedIn Live in about a week and a half also.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's more quote unquote officially announcing the challenge. So.
That's right. Because we still have to get all we still have to do the background stuff already and stuff. So that'll take some time. Direction, I love you're already become my favorite student. Direction, go ahead. What's your question?
Again, since no one's asking, I thought I would ask another question about another topic. Because I have a lot of different ideas, and I think the last one I wanted to ask you about was the need for intersectional leadership. You mentioned that's kind of already very much talked about. So I was wondering, do you think it's even worth considering as a topic? For example, when I say intersectional leadership, I mean how to show up as an authentic leader through your identity. That's outside the stereotypes of what we consider a leader. So for myself, it would be, what does it really look like, to express your, for example, being a woman, having ADHD, being from a marginalized background, all these things. How would you authentically express that in leadership, and how it differs from the model we usually look at? What do you think about that as a topic? Do you think it's overly discussed already? The topic of, I know leadership has a lot of talks on it. Again, all I can offer is my personal experience and life coaching experience and own development and challenges and overcoming them. So not my academic focus, but it's my personal life.
Yeah, let me ask you something. Why do you doubt that might be not a great topic, intersectionality?
Just because I put it in the chat, and I think. And
I said that was too broad, right?
Yeah, you said it was quite broad, or was being done, I guess.
Yeah, no, and listen, again, mindset's a big issue here too in terms of how we put together. I think it's a great idea for a talk. I'm just saying the title is broad. The topic itself is fantastic. Intersectionality is a very hot topic. I love it. It's really, really complicated, interesting, with lots of nuances. It's more about how we position that talk. And I did say before, someone talked about sales. We don't want to talk about sales, but you can talk about the ninjutsu of sales, and that became a fresh take on it. So what I would say is, for intersectionality, it's either going to be some sort of moment or epiphany or story that you experienced. That's going to be the talk, right? Or we frame it in a way that makes it unique, right? So so how does intersectionality appear in the workplace when you're dealing with leadership conflict? I just made that up, but I mean, it's usually more specific and more precise than just intersectional leadership, right? So that's what we want to come up with. But I think you already have a couple of good topics, and they're really powerful, and also they're and the other thing that's a benefit too, they're kind of emotionally charged too.
Yeah, all of them.
Which is great for a TEDx, because they definitely seek that kind of stuff. And if they have people who are passionate advocates for these types of causes, that's another way to pitch what you're trying to do. And I've known you for years. You've always been a very passionate person for social justice issues. I really admire and respect that about you. So helping you get the TED Talk on one or both those things would be great.
That sounds good. Yeah, I thought maybe the narrowing down could be in, the way that growing up, with trauma and like healing your nervous system, how growing up in trauma can affect the way your mindset develops, and the way you perceive the world, and kind of overcoming that, through your intersectional identities. Like, anyways, the idea has to be developed, but yeah, I thought that might be an interesting, what I would have valued, at least hearing growing up, which I guess I had to learn the hard way, but now we're here, so.
But that's the thing too, like being able to share a story. A lot of people, want to do TEDx talks for, building their career or building their business or whatever. But a lot of people, they just want to create that impact. They want to get that message out there. And that's a great, noble cause to have. So, and you already shared me 3 good ideas. Like you're definitely out of the game, which is great.
I can't pick. Okay, well, yeah, that's what I got to figure out. I'm a multi-passionate person, as you can see, and there's
Yeah.
just more passion than time. So
Awesome. Amanda, since your video's still on, I just want to say, how's it going, and what'd you think?
Hi, nice
Hi.
to see you.
I know, good to see you too.
Yeah, good, great. I've definitely been like inspired, and I'm just thinking and thinking and feeling and thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for this.
No, glad to be here. Glad to see you there as well. In case you didn't hear already, Amanda and I did a musical theater show many years ago with my wife as well, and yeah, I love musical theater.
So long ago now.
I know. Well, yeah, our kids are older, so. All right. So, anybody else have any questions before we end this call? You will get the replay, and then those who haven't signed up for the waiting list or the VIP thing, please do or think about it. And if you have any questions, you can always message me, follow me on LinkedIn or Twitter, other places. I'm always available. You can also follow and connect with Chris as well. And if you've already signed up for the VIP, you can. We'll start booking the calls so we can get them in the calendar before we start on January 15th. All right.
Hey, Bobby, there was a couple, just so you know. Yvonne, I know, like.
Oh, Yvonne, raise your hand.
Yeah, Yvonne joined a little late. So, Yvonne, you can unmute yourself and ask a couple questions.
Hi, everyone. I don't know what happened to me today. I was working on my computer trying to meet the deadline and, forgot that the time had just kept up on me so quickly, So I'm here and, of course, always wanted to be a part of this. I spoke to some parents and some grade 11 students recently, and I was checking myself whether or not I had balanced my story as against just trying to empower the parents to play a greater role in their children's life, because that was what I intended to do. So I really need to work on my confidence level, but I think I had reached them. They were quite happy, and we had a sing along as the final thing to close the session. But I just really wanted to know, what kind of topic do you think would appeal to people in education? What is it that is out there that people really want to know about based on your experience?
Well, education is a very, very interesting topic. In fact, it's so popular that TED has a TED Education series that they do. So they started that in Vancouver, and then Sir Ken Robinson did a really great talk on education for kids. In terms of the topics that are there, again, there's a lot of different broad topics about what kids are dealing with these days. I think going through the pandemic and dealing with online learning, as well as the rise of technology and how it's affecting kids, their attention spans. Things like that. There's a lot of great fodder for this, but then it also depends on regionally where you are. Some places have really bad education support. Other people, and I have other friends who've talked about dealing with disability awareness in the school system. So, but I mean, it's important to, like, I wouldn't be able to answer what are the best ones to do. What it's going to come from your story and your topic and your ideas, and then you dive into what those things are, and we can then extract what would be the best text. And then the best thing to do, honestly, and that's what I tell all my clients, is start sharing it online. Talk to people. Hey guys, I'm thinking about doing TED Talk. Put it out there in the world. I'm thinking about doing TED Talk. Here are 3 topics. What do you think is most interesting to you? See what they say. Hey, here are my 3 education topics that I'm interested in. Here's a poll. What do you think? Which one's the most interesting to you and why? And you start a conversation to learn about this stuff, which will then help you formulate what are the best TED Talk ideas to start working on.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay. All right, with that, I think we will close our session. Chris, thanks so much for being my co-host, and thanks everyone for being here. Look for the replay. If you have any questions, looking forward to hearing from you, and thanks again for being part of this. All the best. Take care.
Great seeing y'all. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Recording.